Rachel, what's going on? How can we help?
So my husband and I have been married for 3 years. We have 2 little kids, and he has some really bad habits, for lack of a better word, that he has always had since he was probably a teenager, and things like that weren't really a problem when we were dating, things like that. But now they're really starting to affect his health and our family, and it's been bringing me a lot of anxiety about what our future is going to look like if they continue.
So what's going on? What are they?
So I guess the main one is he has really severe asthma, and he also smokes a lot, like a pack a day kind of, sometimes less, but around that. And it's actually, he's been admitted to the hospital twice in the last year for breathing-related issues.
Yikes.
For like 3+ days each time, and things like that. It just seems to be getting worse instead of better. Other things related to that too, but it just makes me worried. You know, with 2 little kids, he's only 32 and I'm 25, and I just feel like these are things we shouldn't be dealing with for a long time.
Sure.
These kinds of health issues.
So if I drill down here, there's something more than smoking?
I mean, it's all kinds of just unhealthy, not taking care of himself really well, unhealthy eating, unhealthy, lots of drinking, not like in a dangerous way or anything, but just a lot of those types of habits. Okay.
So when this is the powerlessness part of being married to somebody who doesn't take care of their body, right? You know that you can't make him eat well. You know that you can't make him quit smoking or stop drinking or stop, I don't know, whatever, playing video games till 2 a.m., whatever. You can only deal with you. So when you see these behaviors, what has your strategy been over the last year, over the last 2 years? How do you approach him with your concerns?
I've probably tried everything, including the things that don't help at all, like expressing to him how concerned it makes me and how I don't like our kids learning from those behaviors and watching him do these things, and a lot of probably guilt, which I'm sure is not the right approach, but
it's hard though, right? I mean, I'm not going to beat you up, of course, man. Those things are hard, and it's important for him to know how you feel on it. When you sit him down and say, hey, listen, I love you, and at this current trajectory, you're not going to be with us very long. And the time you are going to have with us is going to be less than, because you don't feel good. You don't feel healthy or whole. And when you don't feel healthy or whole, you're short with us, you snap at us, you end up in the hospital, fill in the blank here. What's his response to you? How does he respond?
He always makes me feel really heard, and then nothing changes.
Okay.
He says, I understand, I can see why you feel that way, kind of all those things, but nothing, or I know I need to do something different, but it doesn't change. Have
you told him that you're scared?
Yes.
That you're scared you're going to end up a single mom?
Yes. I think he has a lot of things from before I knew him, like a lot of childhood things that I think he probably doesn't really want to deal with, but I'm sure contribute to some of these choices.
Of course they do. Of course they do. So here's the part you're going to have to wrestle with. You're probably already there. I'll just ask you, is it gotten to a point where you believe he's choosing these behaviors that you know are going to kill him, that he's choosing this over you and over your kids?
I don't know if I want to say that he does it intentionally.
No, not intentionally, but
they're really good.
Yeah, not intentionally, but at the end of the day, there's one road to being with you guys for a long time, and then there's one road to a much shorter, less healthier life.
Then yes, I mean, I think he knows. I don't know if he really applies it to his life. Like, yes, this is going to shorten my life and everything. But I'm sure he's heard that from his doctors and from me, and he knows that. And they just don't change. Yeah. And I know I can't change him. I know that's what every good counselor will say.
Can I tell you, Rachel? I that's heartbreaking for me, and I'm sorry. Like, I wish there was a you just need to, and you can't. At the end of the day, if you've sat down and looked in the eye and said, I'm scared to death that I'm going to lose you, and I'm scared to death that our little babies are going to be without you, and I'm asking you on behalf of us and on behalf of yourself, somebody who I love, I want you to love yourself as much as I love you. And he says, man, I hear you, baby. And then he goes outside and smokes, goes outside and has a few more drinks. I want you to know, I get that's heartbreaking. I hate that for you. I hate that for every spouse, every partner in the country whose husband or wife, girlfriend or boyfriend don't love them as much as they do, right? They don't love themselves as much as their partner does. I hate that for you. The best you can do in this situation is, number one, go see somebody yourself on how to process this, because this doesn't get better, it gets harder, okay? There is some hope that he begins to see you taking care of yourself, and it's not an immediate turnaround, but it becomes a long, slow turn, right? You start walking taller, you start doing the things that you can do, which are very limited, to take care of you and your kids. The second thing is you can make some declarations in your home. You're not going to be drunk in this house. You're not going to smoke inside this house and subject the kids to this stuff, right? I'm assuming that he's otherwise a great human being and he's a good dad and a good husband, right? Is that fair?
Yeah, and he respects any of the boundaries we set up. Like I've told him I don't want the kids to see him smoking, and he always, goes outside and around the corner and away from them and stuff like that. So he tries to respect those things. So
so can I tell you, I've got an especially big heart for folks with big hearts who are trapped. You know what I mean? Who are just trapped. Yeah. I would love for you to tell him to give me a shout. I'd love to talk to him. Not in a mean or ugly way, but just to say, man, I get it, and I know. And there's healing if you want to make some major changes in your life. Until then, you're going to have to decide what your breaking point is, what your if-then point is. And I'll tell you that you know this, but I'll just repeat it. Blaming, criticizing, complaining, those things never solve connection level issues. And we're in the middle of what I would call, they're called diseases of despair. Have you heard that term?
Yes.
Like, we're experiencing that at unfathomable levels, particularly in men who are they're calling it long tail suicide, right? They are just intentionally not taking care of themselves over a long period of time. They know what they're doing is slowly taking them out of the ball game, and they're just not making changes because it's hard. It is hard, and I'm asking every guy, if that's you listening to this, go get the help and care that you need. I want you to hear Rachel's voice. I want you to hear a mom who loves her babies. I want you to hear a wife who loves her husband, and the husband's a good guy. He just can't get over this idea that the guy he sees in the mirror is worth sleeping all night. It's worth being able to run around and play with his kids without having to bend over and catch his breath. Is worth being healthy and living a long, long, healthy life. Rachel, I don't have a magic thing for you other than you got to take care of yourself, and you got to make sure you and your kids are safe. Taking care of yourself might be, how long do I keep loving this guy? Because I'm gonna get pulled underwater too. I hope you'll stay connected to him and love him the best that you know how. And I hope he will, be inspired by you, be inspired by that connection, and sometime, somehow, some way, come to the realization that he has value. It may be, maybe invite him to couples counseling. Maybe a third neutral party will help. Have him call my show. But this one doesn't always have a happy ending. It just doesn't. And I hate that for you. Oh, man.